Hi, it's Malcolm here. I'm a Seawind 1260, just nearly finished, doing a little bit more work to get it finished. But it's one of the first ones that I've gone electric with, a series hybrid system. And I thought you might like to see how it's all fitted together and do a quick tour explaining the electrics on the boat. We'll start with the starboard cabin, which is where the most electrics are installed, where the diesel used to be. And yeah, I think you should find it interesting. So come along and we'll show you around. Okay, we'll talk about the 48 volt system. And the best spot to start, I imagine, is the batteries. And everything is on this side is in the starboard side, pretty much contained under the starboard bunk. The forward end of the bunk, where the washing machine used to be in the 1260, is now where we've put the batteries. So I'll just open that up for you. So down here is 4 by 300 amp hour 25.6 volt batteries, 8 volt batteries, I think, correct me, and that gives us total 30 kilowatt hour capacity. Behind that is the motor, 15 kilowatt Bellmarine sail drive, and to the inboard side of him is his controller, which controls the motor speed and output, etc. Coming further on the inboard side is the main circuit breaker panel. You can see yourself comfortably. You can see on the forward side there are a whole lot of large breakers to control the large loads, such as the motors, the inverter and the generator, and this customer has an optional dive compressor. After that are smaller circuit breakers for the anchor winch, which is 48, and sheet winches are 48, and the solar panels and surge protection. We have surge protection here, which if should there be a over voltage event, be it from a failed charge equipment or lightning, will go dead short and keep both poles, negative and positive, the same voltage, and take that excess current to earth and notify you on the screen up top if it's failed. And below that we have our control loads. We have some loads here we control on state of charge, such as Starlink, which is a heavy consumer, and the 48 to 12 volt charging of the house bank will stop when the batteries are below 50%, to try and ensure you've always got battery banks to move the boat should you wake up in the morning on a lee shore. And further note to this, all these circuit breakers are double pole, which means we turn off both positive and negative, which helps to reduce any risk of circulating current and or electrolysis. It drops that risk significantly. On the outboard side, we've got a 5 kilowatt inverter and the AC breakers to control AC in from shore power, and the 2 AC output to the inverter. The inverter has AC1 output and AC2. AC2 we control by load shedding, and we turn off the hot water or other loads that we deem unnecessary to relieve the load on the inverter. After that is 2 solar regulators. There are 4 panels on the roof, 360 watts each, and they're 2 together to get the voltage required, and so there's 2 sets, two in each set. And then below that you see the red cooling lines. The motor and controller are water cooled, and then that's fed into a heat exchanger, which is cooled by salt water. So, and that salt water pump is further forward, not in this section, so that if it were to leak, it's not going to be leaking in the area where all the electrics are. The only main leak we'd have here would be the coolant from the internal cooling cycle. If that seawater in that was to give up, it's outside of this area. Okay, so that's all there is to the starboard control section and engine. Okay, we're in the port side here, and everything is behind the shower. So we'll just open up that door and find a light, which I think is straight up here. Right, so once again you can see the motor on the port side here, down the back, and tucked in on the inboard side again is its controller. And just here to my left is the washing machine. So same as the other side, everything is accessible. You can get to control it, and you can get to the oil checking point for the leg for the motor. Heat exchanger pump cooling is there, cooling pump is there, and once again the salt water pump is out of this bay further forward. One more thing, because this motor is away from the main switchboard and you can't see the isolator, there is an individual isolator. Should you be working on the motor, you can turn it off here and be confident you're not going to be have it start up on you while you're working on the motor. And that's all there is on the port side. Much simpler than cleaner than a diesel installation. The generator is here in the forward storage locker in front of the mast. They've installed 2 vents on the top here to let hot air out, which can be sealed off in rough weather. So we'll just open this up. It's on gas struts, and have a look at the generator. Okay, this is the generator here in the locker. It's a Fisher & Panda. It's a continuous rating of 10.5 kilowatts, 48 volt DC, nominal. Down to the corner here, we've got the diesel filter and the water strainer and tucked in the corner up there, nice and accessible. The generator also, while the generator is running, it also heats your hot water system, which is, hot water is heated by either this generator on its water on its cooling, or hot water can be heated by 240 volt via the solar panels. So you've got a couple of options there. Up in the top corner, I'll get down low enough for you so you can see. I don't fall off the boat. Is a isolator. So if you're working on the generator, you can turn off the 48 volt batteries to the generator, to the rectifier. So the generator makes an AC waveform and then sends it to a rectifier here in the port corner aft, which turns that AC signal to DC and then charges the batteries. And that's the generator with its cover. Of course, it's nice and quiet. And the advantage of having the generator up here, but it keeps weight forward. Plus, it also means if your diesel mechanic comes on board to do service work, he's outside the boat up here. He's not down your cabin, having lift up your bunk cushions to get to a diesel engine under the bunk. All dirty, smelly things are up here, so that there's no diesel smell in the cabin, no diesel in the bilges. All diesel engines tend to leak something after a while. Oil changes and all that sort of messy stuff is up here outside the cabin space. Okay, we're here at the navigation desk, and we've got a Victron 70 touchscreen here, driven by the servo unit. And as you've already probably noted, there's quite a few bit of Victron gear on the boat. This screen here controls the 48 volt battery system. So we might just go into the battery system here. And just a touch there, and you can see you've got a lot of the battery details here. And we can check everything. We can also go into individual battery info, which then gives all the individual cells, temperature of the battery and other information. We can back out of there. If we go into the inverter, we can turn them, see what the inverter is doing, and also turn it on and off. We can say on, and then you set it and turn it on, or we just stay it off. It's good to be able to turn the inverter on only when you need it. When the inverter's on and not doing anything, it's drawing 20 watts. So if you don't need it, it's great to turn it off and stop with that, what I call vampire drain. There are plenty of things on the boat that if you're not using, are using power, and you've only got a limited source of charging from solar. So the more you can have off, the better off you are. So you can easily do the inverter on and off here without having to go down below and turning some switch on. Also on the overall screen, we've got DC loads. See, we've split it into 2 things here. We have the DC load, might be a Starlink on or something else. We've also got the second line down there is the DC, 48 volt DC to 12 volt DC. What we've tried to do with the boat is you only have to manage the 48 volt battery. The 12 volt battery is automatically maintained. How that system works is once we see the 12 volt battery has gone down to 50%, then this DC to DC will kick in and recharge your battery to 100%. Once the battery 100%, it turns off and it lets the solar take over. and we say, okay, is the solar keeping up? Solar's not keeping up. If it is, great, doesn't come on. If the solar doesn't keep up and the battery goes back down to 50%, then that's our backstop, and we turn the DC to DC on again and charge the battery back up to 100%, and let's see if the solar can do it again. This boat has gone with the option of solar blankets on the front tramp, so when you're anchored, you put the solar blankets out, and that helps to keep the house bank up, and you may not need to drag off the 48. Okay, we'll go back again. So we've also got done that. I've done the solar. I think we did. Given the solar, you can see the individual MPVTs. We can also see history in there in the solar, and we can go say 7 days. This boat's not been in the water for long, so we can go chart. We'll see a chart of the solar input, and if we touch one of the days, we'll see more information for that day. We'll go back to overview. There are two overview screens. You've got this block diagram, which a lot of people prefer. You can see where all the power's going, or you can go, I've got that up, more rounded version, I don't know what you call it. So that's that. We also can display, lost it, tank levels. So we have here your fuel tank. We're only using one fuel tank because we don't need to carry as much fuel because she's a series hybrid and more efficient. And freshwater tank there as well. And then on that we can also go environment, and we can show you the battery temperature of the battery box, not the individual batteries. You can get that from the battery section as we did first up. Another one you may wish to get to a lot is settings, and third one down there is the Wi-Fi or connecting to internet to get a connection outside. Victron have what they call a VRM, Victron remote monitoring, which we give you got a sign account for, and you can see if your boat's hooked to Wi-Fi, you can see at home on your laptop what this system is doing, and more information than you can see here, or more easily, and graphs of how your consumption's going, your solar input's going, and lots of other useful information. And more use is, if you're having trouble, you can contact a technician, be it me or Seawind, and we can look at the system, update stuff, see what's going on, look at history, see what issue you think you may be having, and hopefully sort it out for you. So that gives you remote backup support, basically, without needing someone to come to the boat all the time. So that's the, let's go back out of there, and overview. That's the touchscreen quick summary. As I said, it's fairly intuitive, and you'll get used to it and enjoy the amount of information it gives you quickly and easily. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, we're here at the helm station. Just run you through how to use this. It's not that hard. Key switch here. Turn to the left, one click, turns the ignition on. Then we have to select on the throttle command. There's a green button on the top here. Red light comes on. I'm going to turn on the port throttle at the moment, so that's what I'm going to use. Then you turn on the motor, port motor. Green light comes on. Gives a bit of a beep, so it's all ready. So then let's get a bit of throttle on top of the dock here. So you've got revs. That's all you need, and you're right to go. These two switches either side are for regen. Before I go, I want to confirm how my water pump works. You can push this second button into the lightning strike there. Bad thing to use, I suppose, as a symbol. And that gives you further data on what the motor's doing. And at the bottom left there, you'll see this icicle sign. And to the right it says cooling test. So you push the cooling test, it runs the cooling pumps, and you can confirm if the water's running out, comes out under the bridge deck. You can confirm the pump is running, which it is. You push it again to stop the test, and then push home to go back to your main display. Now, if I wish to This boat's equipped with taking the option of 2 throttle stations. If I wish to go to the other side, I make sure this station is in neutral and the other station is in neutral, and then I just go across, I'll move the cover and I push the command button and the red light comes on this station. So now this station is ready to use as opposed to the other station. Same procedure for going back to this station. You see the red light is no longer here, but because they're all in neutral, I can push the command button and it comes back to control on this side. I can push the motor button again and turn it off, and then turn off my key. And that's the job done. Also on the dash here, you'll notice there is a yellow light and a red light. The red light is pre-alarm. It's to warn you when something has gone wrong with the batteries, whether you throttle back, get your anchor ready or sails ready and investigate the problem, or get the generator started, whichever you think is going to be most applicable, or all of the above. The yellow light is the state of charge light. It will come on at 50% state of charge, and it's basically advising you to start the generator or stop using power, whatever is the most applicable for your situation. You may only have 5 minutes to go before you anchor, so it's not compulsory, it's an advice. And then at 80%, or 85% rather, that light goes out to say, hey, stop running the generator. It's not advisable to try and charge the batteries fully with the generator. Best to take it up to 85, 90, and then let the solar take over from there. So this light is just to let you know, hey, your state of charge is getting down, you should be charging up with the generator. It also is interlinked with the load shed system, which at the same time this light comes on at 50%, the 48 volt battery bank will stop charging the 12 volt battery bank if that has been what it's being asked to do. And also any loads that are on the load shed system, i.e. hot water system, will not be heated by the 240, by the inverter, and that will be shut down until such time as those battery capacity is being brought back up to 85. Then it will give you back that capability. So that's how that all works. We'll move on to the 12 volt. 12 volt system is mainly located under the saloon dinette seat area. Forward section up here are the 2 batteries. The grey one is a 120 amp hour 12 volt AGM battery for the generator system. The generator system is isolated from the house and the 48 as per the manufacturer's request. There is no electrical link up to the system at all. It isn't isolated. The blue battery is a Victron lithium 12 volt 300 amp hour battery. To the left there is the main circuit breaker for that battery in the house system. Coming aft is control circuit breakers and switches for things that should remain on. Main protection fuses. They're on. The smart thing with the left hand one there is the 48 to 12 volt charging. The right hand one is the solar regulator for the 2 batteries, 2 solar panels on the roof. And then after that we've got regulators for the optional solar blankets on the front tramps, and DC charger to keep the generator battery charged if needed, and or if there's an automatic function that you can turn on to and let the solar panels keep it charged up if the boat's left for a long period of time. So that's all compact in there. And going to the left here are 3 isolators. The top one is a remote turn off for the 48 volt BMS. So you can, if you think, oh god, there's something going wrong with the 48 volt batteries, shut it down from here without having to go and open the lid. We'll get into the area under that starboard bunk. You can turn it off up here. Next one down there is the isolator for the 12 volt batteries, and the bottom one is the isolator for the generator battery. And that's the 12 volt batteries. And then companionway down to the port side is the panel, 12 volt panel, and the 12 volt amp hour meter where you can see what the stated capacity of the 12 volt battery is, which with the Victron stuff you can also see that on your phone or your iPad. And if I recall, we've fed that into the VRM as well, so you can make sure your 12 volt batteries are full from home on the internet if you've got a Wi-Fi connection. To the right of it up top is the generator control panel, and that's all there is to see there. And then down below we have 240 volt panel. Inverter's off at the moment, so there's nothing being generated. We're going to dock here without power. Now the AC on the inverter has two outputs, as you may have heard me say before, AC1 and AC2. AC2 we load shed, so we do, which is mainly turning off the hot water. For a couple of reasons, we turn it off if the inverter's been overloaded. We'll turn off hot water and give the inverter less to do. And we also turn off charging hot water if the state of charge is down low. We're doing that to try and help prevent the batteries being flattened down overnight if you've left loads on that are unnecessary. If the boat has air conditioning, we also turn off air conditioning if the battery's below 50%. And to the left there is the Servo GX, which controls the 48 monitoring. And yeah, that's all I think for the 240. It's a good system, and we'll move on. Okay, I've just got the rooftop mounted solar panels here. There's two 360 watt Victron solar panels after the tugboat, and then two semi-flexibles mounted on the after the cockpit roof there, the 12 volt system, and then two more Victron 36 360 watt solar panels on the deck there. The ones at the aft are joined together to get the voltage necessary for 48. The ones on the cabin roof are also in series to get necessary voltage, and because they get shaded from the boom, we've used optimizers on each one, which has the effect of making each solar panel work individually, so we get optimum output for each panel, and the MPP is not tricked into thinking that they're both working under voltage when one is shaded. So it helps to keep the output up. So that's the solar panels on the roof, and then of course we've got the solar blankets, which are an optional extra on the foredeck area. Okay, I'm just going to show you a solar blanket. This owner has opted for two solar blankets. I've just plugged it in there, and I'll flip the plug underneath, the cover there that goes underneath. Okay, we're just plugging it into a extension cord which goes into some plugs in the anchor locker, where the anchor winch is. The advantage of the solar blanket is that it's put on the tramp, which is nice and cool. Solar panels are affected badly by heat, and when they're stuck to a deck, their output is degraded. You'll notice there's some eyelets on the edge of these blanket, so you can put some ropes on them and tie them down so you can make sure they stay there. Or in the afternoon or morning sun, you can then hang them on your lifelines, whichever side the sun is coming from, to get better output, because whenever a solar panel is at right angles to the sun, that's when its peak output is. So you can then move these around the deck to get them out of the shade and keep charging away. We've wired these so they power the house bank, and I know everyone worries about the propulsion power, but it's still the house loads which give me the most amount of trouble, especially now that a lot of boats like this have gone electric. Also like to have electric dinghy, and while you're anchored, that's when that power has been used. So the more we can keep up the house loads, the more goes back into the 48 volt battery bank, and the more power is there to charge your dinghy and other loads and not have to use the backup generator. By having your dinghy electric and your cooking electric, you're down to one fuel source, so you're only needing diesel for your generator. You don't need petrol as well, or LPG or gas, whatever you want to call it. Okay, that's the solar blanket. We'll move on. Well, that concludes our tour of electrics. I hope that was informative and you enjoyed it, and you get an idea of how electrics all fit into the boat. Certainly with this series hybrid, it's a much cleaner installation, and you can see the diesel smells are all out in that locker forward. So no need for when you come to a service, your diesel mechanic has got to come inside your cabin and run the risk of getting grease or oil over your upholstery or your floor. So that's a big advantage of having a series hybrid system. I've been wiring boats for 40 years, but in the last 10 years I've been specialising in electric boats. And personally, the series hybrid system is more reliable than a parallel. I'll do a video later about the differences. But for now, thank you for watching, and enjoy your sailing. Hope it's electric, and we'll catch you later. Thank you.